I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft, friend of mine texted me. Polls have been open for an hour and 5 minutes. I was number 2 in precinct 10 to vote. He lives in Roselle. So is that Schaumburg Township? I was number 2 I was number 2 to vote. Polls at 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, chop chop for those who haven't already voted or made their plans. Wanted to back to something that I brought you earlier in the program, but it bears repeating on this election day. Jean Kazmarek, she's the DuPage County clerk, and she posted this video announcing this hotline in advance of today's election.
Hi, I'm Jean Kazmarek, DuPage County clerk, with important voting information about the 2026 primary election. In DuPage County, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE, will not be allowed to interfere with DuPage County elections in any way. It is a federal crime for the military or federal agents to interfere in elections or intimidate voters. It is a crime punishable by up to 5 years in prison to deploy federal troops or armed men to any locations where voting is taking place or elections are being held. Those crimes will not be tolerated in DuPage County. Not on my watch.
Okay, Jean Kazmarek. This is what we have allowed DuPage County to become. Aren't you sickened? Somebody as pathetic as that. The cheap boogeyman politics and the sort of Soviet-style recitation of the missive from Central Command to repeat. Gene, not on my watch. Yeah. And my friend's number 2 at his polling place in Roselle, an hour into voting on this primary election day. Well, every election cycle provides opportunities. Ted Dabrowski, of course, candidate I'm backing for governor, had a presser yesterday featuring some of the support that has coalesced around him from top to bottom, east to west. But most notably, per this closing message, he understands that victory runs through the suburbs in November, which it does. So I was particularly interested to hear from Tom Morrison, who was really a conservative thought leader from Palatine, conservative thought leader during his 12 years in the General Assembly. This is what he said.
My name is Tom Morrison. I was a 6-term state representative from Northwest Cook County, a suburban seat, which we know is going to be the key to winning this election, both tomorrow, March 17th, but also in November. And that's why I'm up here proudly supporting Ted Dabrowski for governor. We need to elect someone to be our nominee who can actually beat J.B. Pritzker. And when you look at the stage, you look at the coalition that he has put together, it consists of people on the policy side, people, different ethnicities, from the business community, up and down the state, from the city to the suburbs, all the way downstate. Ted has a very strong coalition. I think he's our best candidate who can actually beat J.B. Pritzker. He knows the issues. We've been friends for about 15 years when I first took office down in Springfield, and Ted knows policy on A to Z issues. And so that's why I'm proud to stand with him, to endorse him. I'm just encouraging everyone, come out to vote. There is no excuse why you should sit this out. Who our nominee is really, really matters. And so please come out, support Ted Dabrowski, and then let's take back this state. Let's get Illinois on the path where we should be come November. But we won't get there without Ted as our nominee.
Indeed. My friend, by the way, Barrington Township, voting out there, number 2 at 705 in his polling place, where you would think there would be a sizable number of Republican primary voters. Maybe a lot of them voted early. It's possible. If you have a question for Ted, we'll fold some of your questions in as well. 312-642-5600, turnkey, the Chicago Morning Answer call-in and text line. Ted Dabrowski, TedForIllinois.com, joins us now. Ted.
Good morning, Dan. Happy Election Day.
Morning. So where are you at right now?
Well, I'm at home, getting ready to go vote in just a little bit.
Good. You're not going to forget to vote. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
No. Yeah, maybe that's why. Anyway, I'm excited to go.
And give us your closing pitch.
Well, look, I think everybody on this show knows how extreme things have become. Pritzker's taken things to such craziness, and the legislature has as well. And I think there's a big opening for us right now. It's an amazing opening if we can get together, unite together, get out the vote. And we got to make sure that people pull Republican ballots, by the way. But this is a big moment for us because I think we really can turn this around. And I've run a campaign that I think tries to leverage on my experience in finance, my experience in policy. I've got 30 years of that. And if there's a state that needs help in finances and policy, it's this one. So I'm excited to put that experience behind it. But I think the biggest thing is, to beat Pritzker, we've got to put together a coalition. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I supported Bailey last time, but he got trounced by 35 points in the suburbs, Cook County in the suburbs, because he couldn't put that coalition together that includes a big support in the suburbs in Chicago. And I've been working on that, and it's been exciting to do, and I've done it. I've been speaking in evangelical Hispanic churches, and not just Spanish, but Filipino and Assyrian, and there's big support for us. They're conservative. They hate DEI. They're family oriented. They hated when the churches were closed during COVID. They want somebody else. They do not like Pritzker. So there's a whole bunch of people out there. And then I've worked on the Slavic side as well. Being half Polish, the Ukrainians, the Poles, the Romanians, they came to this country for freedom and opportunity, and they hate what they see happening in Illinois. And so they like having a guy whose father was Polish, who I lived in Poland for 9 years. And can speak to them, and they understand the whole freedom argument. So it's been really fun to build this coalition. But it's not just up here too. At Southern Illinois, I've had a great time. I just picked up a great Annie Fry, who's a big radio host down there. Just gave her vote for us. Yeah, St. Louis, and she covers the Metro East area. Tracy Boss, my boss. Wife just held a nice get out the vote party for us down there. So it's across the state, and we can do it. It's exciting. Pritzker has to go, and the candidate that you all should pick is the person who can put together that coalition to beat Pritzker, and we're that campaign.
Well, yeah, it's like what you've said in one of your spots. The most conservative candidate who can win. That was always the admonition, and for my money, you're the most conservative candidate and the only guy who can win. So that is a nice twofer. I also know just late-breaking endorsements. I talked about a little bit earlier in the program. Zoe Lee from Chicago Flips Red, those black ladies that are taking on the Dem establishment in the city, endorsed you yesterday. So that was a it's a nice get. It just speaks to that coalition building you're talking about.
Well, it's a big deal. These are a few people from this black community who've just taken on the system, and they're doing it unabashedly, and they've gotten a lot of recognition. And I think for them to come on with us, what Zoe said is that she liked is that I was the one pointing out how the black population in Chicago has just been destroyed by all these policies. These are pandering policies from Pritzker, from Lightfoot, from Johnson, from Preckwinkle. All this money, all this support, all this stuff. And if you look at any stat that matters on poverty, unemployment, education, Chicago is dead last for the black community. So they have to try something new. And it's great that Zoe, she saw it, she got it, and she's on board. And, again, that's the kind of coalition we need to put together to beat Pritzker.
Let's take a couple calls. Renee in Barrington.
Yes, hi, good morning, Ted. Thank you for running on Voting for You, and so is my husband. I think to dumb it down and try to get both Republicans and Democrats to vote for you in the general, the one message I think could be this no cash bail idea. This idea that Pritzker cares more about criminals than the average citizen.
Thanks, Renee. Ted?
Renee, amen. I mean, Pritzker cares more about illegal immigrants than he does about his own residents. He cares more about criminals than he cares about, victims. He cares more about the Chicago Teachers Union than he does about students. I mean, I could go on and on. This guy is destroyed family rights, parental rights, religious rights, and he's gone after life. He's made Illinois the abortion capital of the Midwest, and then he's done the assisted suicide. So he's on all the wrong sides of where we are, and that's the argument we need to make. But absolutely right on the Safety Act. We need to repeal the Safety Act, bring back cash bail, and get rid of all the sanctuary city and sanctuary state laws.
Well, it seems like there's a natural coalition there on repealing the Safety Act with, I don't know, like 100 of the state's 102 state's attorneys that opposed it, and most, if not all, of the county sheriffs. And the key, as you discussed on the trail that I've seized upon, is that, look, you make this a priority. You don't just sort of take a position and say, look, it's right there on my website. That's my position. You have to put in the fight, even if you're facing supermajority of Dems controlling the General Assembly. There are things a governor can do. A governor's a powerful office, and all there are things a governor can do to force attention, debate on this issue in a way that it hasn't been forced, obviously, under Pritzker.
Well, I think we all learned from Trump 2.0 versus Trump 1.0. Trump did a great job of putting in department heads that took over, that actually made decisions and took a strong stance, and that's a great lesson for us because with supermajorities and Democrats in the legislature, our department heads and our executive power has to be used to flip a lot of these things. So it has to be a battle, and on day one, you can't have a state and you can't have a Chicago without safety. So we have to attack the sanctuary laws and the Safety Act laws on day one. And Dan, you're right, to be the 100 states attorneys, if we can get them all together and just say, hey, we're fighting this, we're opposing this in a way that, couldn't be done with Pritzker's governor. I think it gives us great power and, bring the people with us.
Doug in Salem, Illinois.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to say I'm going to support you, Ted. I like what you say. And after listening to your numbers, Dan, that you give out about the suburbs, why would anybody vote for Darren Bailey? I mean, why vote for the guy that lost last time? I mean, to me, that just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to vote for a loser, and then that just gives us a bigger chance to lose again this year. So I'll be voting for you, Ted, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Doug. Go ahead, Ted.
Yes, thank you. Well, I just say, I think most people who keep up with things will remember that and know that he lost by 35 points up here. And I think, that's been our big opening. And so one of the reasons I ran, as I mentioned, I supported Darren last time. But when I saw him lose so big up here, it's like, okay, I'm running. I think the big question is, for the population that doesn't keep up with the facts, and they don't keep up with politics, they just may remember Darren from his last run and all that money that was spent on him. But that's been our big challenge, is just to catch up with the name recognition, and I think we've done it, certainly in the suburbs, and that's where we're excited and optimistic that people will recognize that Darren can't win. Sean
and Darien.
Yeah, hi. I'm definitely voting for Ted, of course, but I do have a buddy of mine, supposedly a smart guy, and yeah, I know Darren was just, I was just talking about, name recognition. This friend of mine was going to vote for Mendrick. I said, "Are you serious?" I had to backhand him, So, but we did get that vote to Ted, thank God. But I don't know what he needs to do for more name recognition. But obviously a friend of mine's an idiot. But thanks.
Thanks for the call, Sean. Well, it's as a first-time candidate. I mean, we've talked a lot about this privately and public. As a first-time candidate, this, it's a big state. It's maybe 750,000 Republican primary votes today, depending on the weather, maybe a little bit fewer. But it's a big electorate, and it just takes time to get around the state and to raise the resources to project a message around the state. I mean, it's a daunting proposition, and a lot of people, including in the donor community, have if they've not given up, they're certainly cynical about prospects in Illinois. So it's a tough environment, as you have no doubt experienced.
Yeah, it's been that way, but I think it's people are hungry, and I like that, and I've enjoyed getting out there. People are looking for something new, and I that's why I'm excited by the coalition we built, and all these people hungry for getting out of this extremity. I think people want to get back to like Midwest values, and so I've met people Central Illinois, Southern Illinois, up here. It's been great. The people are hungry for change. It's again, as a candidate, man, I always wish I had more money and more time, but that's
right.
The reality of campaigns, and you got to do what you can with what you got.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything, or I mean, I'm sure there are things that have surprised you along the way. They certainly did when I ran, even though I was much more involved in electoral politics than you have been to this point. On the campaign side, what if anything, one or two things that like particularly surprised you, positively or negatively?
I'll tell you one thing that's fascinating, and I really appreciate it. I've always been a person of faith. I'm Catholic and go to church, but when you travel the state, you see the depth of faith, especially when you go to Southern Illinois, and just in all pockets. It's phenomenal how much that faith enters into the political thought, right? Because when you go to this extreme like Pritzker has done, it really brings out the faith in people saying, we don't like this, we don't like these values in our schools, and our in our work, in our churches. So it's been pretty powerful. That's number one, and number two, the big thing that I thought too was coming back to taxes, which has been by far the biggest issue, property taxes. I was thinking that Southern Illinois would be less impacted, that more space and less crowded. It's the biggest complaint by far. They care about that as much as they do up here, and so that's been pretty big. And I think the third thing is just how disenfranchised Southern Illinois and to a large extent Central Illinois feel. They feel, and rightfully so. Chicago politics just dominate, and down there they just feel like, wow, we have no power, we have no vote, we have no voice, and so that's something to bring back. I've said that we should be a top 5 state in this country, and we'll never have a top 5 state if you don't have Central Illinois and Southern Illinois participating. So they have to be a big part of the solution.
One of the criticisms, and I see it on the text string too of you that you've no doubt heard, but see how you respond. You're not exactly a matinee idol. You're not exactly a charismatic figure. You're not Robert Duvall and the Apostle. So what about that? You have to be more charismatic. You have to be more demagogic even in these times. How do you respond?
Yeah, authentically, I'm a serious person. I'm a professional. I've done all this work for 30 years, and I try to do it authentically. I try to do it with reason, with calm. If you want somebody fun and crazy, go get Blago. I mean, this is the whole thing. There's no correlation. Yeah, well, there's no correlation between loud and obnoxious and whatever and success. It's really about I look at you use the word tenacity, smarts, and just hard work. I'm a work ethic guy. And I will fight like crazy, but I don't have to do it screaming and yelling. I'm like a bulldog that won't let go. So I think that's what we need right now. We need somebody who's principled, who stands strong and will not back down, who's steely, and that's what I am. I'm not going to scream and call people names. I think that's where we've gone to such extremes that now you can't tell a good politician from a bad one. If they all yell and scream, then you can't tell which one's the good one.
All right, very good. You got to be you. Ted Dabrowski, tedforillinois.com, if you want any last-minute info on his candidacy. Of course, on the ballot today, a Republican candidate for governor. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for everything.
Yep, and he joins us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online